Hello, welcome to Man for Plus Magic. I know it's not a fancy background this week, but that's okay. I am so excited to bring this deck to you. It is definitely one of my favorites. So, without further ado, let's jump right into this deck. Saheeli the Gifted. My favorite things in Magic are Artifacts, Izzet, and Gruul. And if I can have two of those in one deck, I am happy. This is more or less just a precon with some tweaks, but hey, don't judge. The 2018 Commander decks were really amazing out of the box, and I really liked them. What do it do? Well, Saheeli likes artifacts. She creates servo tokens and helps spells, like artifacts, become cheaper. And then she absolutely engorges the battlefield by doubling your artifacts. Here is an example of a game I played with her. As you can see, she gets stupid strong sometimes, and most people want her gone immediately. Let's jump to our first section, Ramp. Why do we always start with Ramp? I don't know. Should I change this? Let me know in the comments below because I am genuinely curious. Why do I start with Ramp? Anyway, here, let's get into it. First, we got Soul Ring and Thought Vessel. Extra colorless mana for cheap, and Thought Vessel grants no maximum hand size. Nice. Mindstone, Hedron Archive, and Dreamstone Hedron. These all do essentially the same thing. They add colorless mana, but in different amounts incrementally, 1, 2, or 3. Plus they all have extra card draw bonus by paying the proper amount on each card. Unstable Obelisk and Skyclave Relic. Unstable Obelisk is a mana rock with an expensive activated ability, but you'd be surprised how easily this deck can pull it off. And Skyclave Relic is an amazing ramp. Taps for any color, and if you kick it, you get 3 of them. Plus, they're all indestructible artifacts that can be used through the rest of the game once they're out. It's amazing. KCI. Kark Clan Ironworks. Good old KCI. Self-explanatory here. Make a servo with Saheeli, and boom, 2 free colorless mana. Or, any of the other hundreds of artifacts you'll have. Blinkmoth Urn. This one helps everybody, but it won't be helping as much for everyone as it will be helping you. For each artifact you control, like I said, hundreds, you'll just get that much free mana each turn. And that Unstable Obelisk doesn't really seem so far-fetched now, does it? Horizon Stone. And then guess what? You won't lose that mana if you spend it. Keep the mana coming, Blinkmoth Urn. Storm the Vault. Usually by the time you get this out, you already have 5 artifacts, so the next end step you'll just get a Tolarian Academy. And if that's not enough mana for you, we got Treasure Naver. Let's just steal it from other players. Whenever they tap their rocks for mana, it becomes mine for a turn. Don't look at me like that, it's totally fair. Let's make tokens. I mentioned lots of artifacts, right? Hundreds of artifacts. Here are some more things that give us those nice old tokens that help Saheeli's second ability and other abilities we have. Thopter Engineer. An extra Thopter body, and it gives all our artifact creatures haste. Great. Dockside Extortionist. Ooh, Nelly. Expensive guy here, like in the real world, he's expensive. But he lets us make a ton of treasure depending on our opponent's artifacts and enchantments, plus a lot of extra treasure mana. Retrofitter Foundry. This one's great, though it might be looked over by some people due to the text, because it's just a lot to take in. But the gist of it is, I can make a servo, then a Thopter, then a construct, and it untaps itself. With all the cards it gives us servos and Thopters, you really won't need to make them with the card itself, but you could tap it to make a 4/4 construct by sacrificing a Thopter and tapping Retrofitter Foundry. It comes in very handy. Saheeli Sublime Artificer. Seems here like we're building a Saheeli tribal deck. And you'd be right, all the Saheelis are here. We'll go to the original here in a bit. This one is mainly used for the static ability and creating servos, but sometimes we can copy one of our big boys if we'd like. Loyal Apprentice, Thopter Spy Network, and Mirrodin Besieged. These 3 all make a token at some point, combat, upkeep, or whenever an artifact is cast. Thopter Spy Network also provides card draw, and Mirrodin Besieged does a crazy thing and makes opponent lose the game if we can get enough artifacts in our graveyard, but I usually just end up using the Mirrodin ability for the extra bodies. Hangerback Walker, and if you're cool like me, it's Mechagodzilla, Thopter Assembly, and Sharding Sphinx. These all make Thopters, and Thopter Assembly and Sharding Sphinx all basically overwhelm opponents as long as you can get the engine going. These are all meant to overwhelm if they can, and they can also be used for KCI fodder to cast something large. Brutaclad Telcor Engineer. Brutaclad is basically the hidden commander in this deck, and it works extremely well here. Tokens we control have haste, and we make an extra body every combat. Then make all your tokens a copy of something else, and you get the picture. Token copies. Alright, now let's make those copies of tokens. We got Saheeli Rai, and finally the OG Saheeli. Yes, Saheeli Tribal, it's my favorite. Her first ability annoys everyone, and she creates a copy of an artifact for a second ability, and then her ult lets us tutor for any 3 artifacts. She gets scary, and people don't like seeing her out. Feldon of the Third Path, Mimic Vat, and Prototype Portal. These 3 all create a token copy of something in exile or in the graveyard, and they can just be powerful depending on what you've got out. Mirrorworks. With this, you can just copy artifacts as they come in. Just pay 2 generic mana, and boom, you've got an extra Metalwork Colossus. Saheeli's Artistry and Echo Storm. And these just straight up make a copy of an artifact, or a couple if you meet some extra requirements. Extra help. Here's some extra help for all our artifact pals. We got Blink Moth Infusion. Yes, it has CMC 14. Yes, it's ridiculous. And yes, I love it for that reason. It untaps all of our artifacts at instant speed. And again, hundreds of artifacts, as I promised. But let's hope that Yuriko doesn't hit this on her turn. Ethereum Sculptor and Swiftfoot Boots. Whenever artifacts cost less, it's good. Plain and simple. And the boots always come in handy. No explanation here. Geode Golem and Vidalcan Humiliator. These guys provide a bonus during combat. Let's just cast Saheeli for free from the command zone, minus the commander tax, of course, when Geode Golem hits. And at the same time, let's make all of our opponent's creatures 1/1 bumbling baby boys with no abilities for the turn. Classic. Tawnos, Urza's Apprentice. Copies our artifact abilities activated and triggered. Unstable Obelisk really doesn't feel too bad now, does it? Duretti Scrap Savant. Another Planeswalker? I think yes. From my very first Commander Precon that I ever bought, it's Duretti. If you can pull off ulting him, your friends will really hate you. But since he never stays out that long, the card advantage in recycling artifacts really pays off. Unwinding Clock. It's a Seedborn Muse for artifacts. Again, you may lose some friends. Sundial of the Infinite. This one may seem a little weird at first, but a lot of our tokens we make gain haste and then sacrifice or exile at the end step. But this makes it so we don't do that, letting us keep those hundreds of tokens. Card draw. Let's feed our machine by drawing more cards. Thoughtcast and One with the Machine. These 2 just draw us cards. And Thoughtcast will usually only cost 1 blue mana for 2 cards because of the hundreds of artifacts we'll have. And One with the Machine could potentially draw us 11 cards with Metalwork Colossus on the board, so, value. Padim Console of Innovation. Everyone loves Hexproof, especially when all of your hundreds of artifacts have it. And if you have the biggest artifact on your upkeep, you'll draw a card. Gotta love the 6-fingered man. Joyra Weatherlight Captain. Upon casting an artifact or one of our planeswalkers, we shall draw a card. And usually you could do this a few times before running out of steam each turn, and Joyra is my girl. Big boys. Time for the Beastie Boys that are always on vacation, and we'll most likely copy them to the end, the staycation? I don't know, I can't rhyme. Scuttling Doom Engine, Inkwell Leviathan, and there he is, Metalwork Colossus. Scuttling Doom Engine is probably my wife's least favorite card in the deck. She hates that she can't block with her small creatures, and doesn't like taking 6 damage to the face if it dies. Lose-lose for her. Inkwell Leviathan is just really big. And it has a gas station power and toughness, Island Walk, Trample, and Shroud. Don't mess with it. Oh wait, you can't. Shroud. Metalwork Colossus, and the boy that's been spoiled a couple of times here. He's huge, he's large and in charge, and he's relatively easy to get out. And he comes back to your hand from the graveyard by sacrificing a couple little servos. Just to do all of that all over again. I love him. Wormcoil Engine and Ancient Stone Idol. These two create tokens when they die, and they're giant bodies. Use Brutaclad to copy these tokens for life, death, or severed head. Soul of New Phyrexia. I personally think this is the best soul avatar creature next to the black one, but it's super good, and I love Indestructible. Darksteel Juggernaut, Bosch Iron Golem, and Hellkite Igniter. Game winners right here. Remember that picture I showed at the beginning of the video? Yeah. These over here, these are Darksteel Juggernauts. They're all 29/29s with Indestructible. Needless to say, I won that game. Bosch Iron Golem can just chuck Metalwork Colossus at something, and if he can chuck Metalwork Colossus, he must be really big himself. Hellkite Igniter, just dump a ton of mana into this, and he'll get bigger than Bosch in just a shake. Removal. Scrabbling Claws. This one helps get rid of those pesky graveyards, and it's a cheap artifact. Pogify, a great kill spell, and it gives our opponents a monkey. Shrewd Negotiation. I'd like to trade my 1/1 servo for your Phyrexian Obliterator, please. Oh, wait, what's that over there? Is that a Sigiled Starfish? Man, I love scrying. I will trade you my 1/1 servo for your Sigiled Starfish because I really want to help myself out the rest of the game by scrying. Anger of the Gods and Blasphemous Act. If you're desperate and need to kill some stuff, here you go. Anger of the Gods doesn't deal that much damage, but it does exile the things that die. And Blasphemous Act should only cost about 1 red mana by the time your board is full, and just completely obliterate everything. Devastation Tide and Aether Spouts. Aether, I always say Aether, but Aether Spouts. The poor man's Cyclonic Rift is Devastation Tide, kind of-ish. But you return all things to everyone's hands. Hooray! And pay only 2 mana. It's the first card you've drawn this turn. And Aether Spouts, I feel, is overlooked a lot, but it's a great removal spell. Make your strong opponent recast all their things later. No one likes that fate at all. Steel Hellkite. Beef this guy up and then destroy all of their CMCX things. Brutal. Extra artifacts. Alright, here's just some extra stuff if you're feeling cheeky. Madcap Experiment and Saheeli's Directive. Of course, you gotta have the Saheeli card in the Saheeli deck. So these two make you reveal cards from the top of your library and grab artifacts from among them. And Madcap Experiment does damage to you for however many cards you revealed, but there's so many artifacts in the deck that number should be very low. Mechanized Production. This copies artifacts as well on your upkeep. Any artifact you choose, in fact. Plus, it has the added bonus of, winning you the game if you control 8 artifacts with the same name. I'm looking at you, you cute little baby. You should have so many of these things that you'll have the game in your palm of your hands very soon. Land. Here are the only lands worth mentioning. We got Great Furnace, Seat of the Synod, and Darksteel Citadel, and they're just free artifacts. Buried Ruin can return an artifact from your graveyard if you're in a pinch. Inventor's Fair gains you life, and it helps you tutor for an artifact later if needed. And Foundry of the Consoles creates Thopters, again, use as needed. And here are the tokens you'll need. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Sorry you couldn't see me this week, but remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you don't miss any episodes each and every Thursday. And yeah, reach out to me if in the comments if you have any suggestions or if you want me to change something out or you think my decks are stupid. Yeah, anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you next Thursday.